Now at 6, goodbye smartphones. Hello, better grades?
It'll take some adjusting, without a doubt. I think my daughter will agree, but yeah, I think it'll be a positive move.
The local school district now taking cell phones out of the classroom. Plus,
I mean, it's a constant battle every day.
With questions around how much enforcement is worth, as campers return to a site the city is actively trying to clear.
also $1,600 to every Oregonian every year. The controversial ballot initiative voters will see in November.
And later, her Paris teammates have already been trying to lift her up.
I would just tell Jordan that she's an incredible person, an incredible athlete.
Now, Vancouver gymnast Jordan Childs breaks her silence about her Olympic heartbreak.
Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Christine Pitawanich. Let's begin tonight with that cell phone ban coming to the Lake Oswego School District. Tim Gordon is live for us in the newsroom this evening. And Tim, the district just let people know about it.
That's right, Christine. In an email sent yesterday to families in the district, more details of how this student cell phone ban will work are still to come, but it's clear it's coming.
It is a quickly growing issue based on long-running concerns that cell phones hurt students' ability to focus and learn and hurts teachers' ability to keep students engaged. Now the Lake Oswego School District, home to 6,800 students, is the latest to say smartphones must go. In a letter to families announcing an all-day ban starting this September, the superintendent wrote, "Implementing this change is rooted in a commitment to our students' academic success and overall well-being. Extensive research indicates that cell phones in schools can be a significant barrier to learning and personal development."
I think it'll be very productive for the children and the teachers too.
Claire Henshaw is a special ed teacher in the district and a mom too.
I think it'll be good socially for the kids to be able to hold conversations with each other and on their phones. It'll take some adjusting, without a doubt. I think my daughter will agree, but yeah, I think it'll be a positive move.
So she's obviously got her own opinions.
Daughter Lizzie sees cell phones as useful in some school situations, but she gets the concerns, and so does Layla Bristol.
I think it's fine. I think a lot of us don't need our phones during school anyways, but I get how it's like frustrating because I think a lot of people are worried about not being able to reach their parents during like emergencies and stuff.
Lake Oswego is not alone in taking on the cell phone challenge. Portland Public Schools is looking at a district-wide phone policy while testing out a way to keep kids away from phones at Grant High School and Beaumont Middle School. Other districts from North Clackamas to Hillsborough to Vancouver have varying forms of restrictions. Back in Lake Oswego, students say they were already giving up their phones during a lot of their class time, and the all-day ban is the next step, like it or not.
I think it's definitely important to like have the phones away when we're learning, but I think for the most part when the teachers brought out phone caddies and we were putting our phones away during class, that worked. And I don't see the issue with having phones during like lunch and stuff like that, yeah.
Now, we should note a detail we do know. The ban will allow exceptions for health or emergency reasons. Now, the Lake Oswego School Board still needs to vote on this ban in its meeting August 26th, but based on the superintendent's letter, there is virtually no doubt it will be approved. Christine?
Yeah, hearing conversations around the cell phone bans, really interesting stuff. Thank you, Tim. Okay, let's get you caught up on some other headlines we're following for you. A large homeless camp in southeast Portland is taking days to remove, in part because once crews clear it out, more people move back in. The camp is on southeast Knapp Street off 105th, and it's been growing for years. The removal started Tuesday, and it's one step forward for the neighborhood, but one step back for people living on the streets.
I'm on the phone with 311 every day or every other day. And I was on the phone with them this morning about the new RV that's already back.
Everything that they're doing isn't helping us. It's cutting us down and making the loop harder to get out.
Despite Portland's camping ban that is supposed to be in effect, no citations were handed out to people at that site who refused shelter. We're told few people accepted the offer.
Portland police are searching for at least one person they say was involved in a crash and a shooting. This is around 9 this morning near Northeast 143rd and Sacramento. That is where authorities say they found a van and truck that had crashed into each other, and it appeared someone in one or both vehicles started shooting.
We heard a loud sound that to me sounded like a gunshot that made kind of a reverberation. Between that sound and the next crashing of what seemed to be vehicles was really fast, really fast.
Police say they found one of the people involved with a gunshot wound. They were taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries.
Portland police are investigating a crash that killed a pedestrian in North Portland's Piedmont neighborhood. It happened just before 10 o'clock this morning. Police say a semi hit a man on North Columbia Boulevard near Vancouver Avenue. The man was taken to the hospital but later died from his injuries. The driver of the semi stayed on the scene and spoke with investigators.
Health officials in Multnomah County are warning people to avoid unlicensed food carts. They say they've seen more of them, including outside Providence Park on game days, though they generally show up wherever large groups of people gather. By the way, there's a big Foo Fighters concert there tomorrow evening. Officials say your best bet is to support local and licensed vendors, which will have a bright green permit on display.
And meet the Clack-A-Mole. That's the nickname chosen for this large tunnel boring machine that'll clear the way for treated wastewater to make it into the Willamette River. This project has been in the works for months now, and now the big machine is ready to get to work. It'll dig out a 9-foot diameter, a half-mile long tunnel that'll go to John Storm Park in Oregon City. That's just north of the Abernathy Bridge. The goal is to have it up and running by late next year. Matt?
All right, Christine, thank you very much. It was a pretty good day around Western Oregon. Cloudy, yes, but warm enough. Look at Mount Hood right now, socked in. The mountain has disappeared, only 49 degrees up that way. There were thunderstorms in the southern Cascades last night and early this morning. Now it's northeast Oregon that is the focus of the storms. There's been a lot of lightning here, but you know what? There's also been a lot of rain. I'll show you those rain amounts a little bit later on. And in a way, that's good news because it helps to really reduce the threat of additional wildfire starts. We actually had a flash flood warning out southeast of Baker City for a while, too. And speaking of that, we've got a flash flood watch up for the Cascades, not for tomorrow or tonight, but for Saturday. As we get a widespread rainfall across Western Oregon and the Cascades. It's pretty rare for summer like this, so we're going to call it a weather impact alert day just because it's fairly unusual to get that kind of a rain in the middle of summer like this. You may need to drive carefully. There could be some ponding around the roads. We'll go back to dry weather on Sunday, but it is certainly going to be a wet day Saturday, guys.
Yeah, appreciate you keeping us updated on that. Thank you, Matt.
In elections headlines, a controversial measure that would put more money in the pockets of Oregonians is now headed for the November ballot, though elected leaders on both sides of the aisle here, along with many businesses, are speaking out against it.
KGW's John Adams is live with us in studio. John, walk us through what Measure 118 would do here.
Well, David and Christine, the short answer is, if passed, Oregonians would receive a rebate of $1,600 each year. A family of 4 would receive $6,400. The group behind Measure 118 is called Oregon Rebate. They say, if passed, the measure would decrease poverty in the state by 36% and increase the financial stability of those living here. The group has picked up some notable endorsements from the United Auto Workers, Oregon Working Families, and the Oregon Progressive Party. But many in the business community are against the measure because it is funded by increasing the corporate minimum tax by 3%. It would apply to businesses whose sales exceed $25 million a year. The Portland Metro Chamber has come out in opposition, as well as the Oregon Business and Industry Group, which represents large and small businesses across the state. OBI says if passed, Oregon will become less attractive for businesses, and that will drive up the prices of goods and services. Even the group Tax Fairness Oregon says the measure is poorly written and will lead to inflationary pressure on food, gas, utilities, and medicine. Leading state Democrats like Governor Tina Kotek, as well as state Republican Minority Leader Jeff Helfrich, have both spoken out against Measure 118, but voters will ultimately have the final say in November. David, Christine?
Yeah, we'll see how things shake out in just a few months. Thank you so much, John. In Washington, a social experiment with a similar premise is already underway, though on a much smaller scale.
Eric Wilkinson has the story from the Olympic Peninsula.
Here in Clallam County, the poverty rate is 33% above the state average. Families here are struggling, but now a guaranteed monthly income could be part of the answer.
At one point, we'd go shopping for the month and it would cost $900.
Hogerson, a single mother of 3, feeding her family is tight.
This stuff is like $15.
She has to stay home to take care of her kids and depends on government benefits to survive. 1-year-old Alaric, blissfully unaware.
Who eat one of these?
Living hand to mouth is tough. There's rarely anything left over, no wiggle room to get ahead. Now, though, Olympic Community Action Programs, or OLICAP, is dispersing $500 every month for the next 12 months to 25 low-income families. No strings attached. It's the second round of such funding. OLICAP's executive director telling King 5 many program participants were able to obtain secure housing, find better economic opportunities. One family even started their own business. Children enjoyed enrollment in extracurricular activities that would have otherwise been unaffordable.
Toys everywhere.
Haley says she'll use the extra cash to pay for internet and utilities, freeing up extra cash to pay off debt and allowing her a moment to exhale.
I immediately was like, okay, cool. I can actually breathe now. And then there was something that happened where, oh, hey, we can't get one of the kids his school supplies. I'm like, I actually have the money for that now.
If programs like this are to catch on, there is a question of funding. This program here in Clallam County is funded through a generous donor. Either that model would have to continue or taxes would likely have to be raised.
And that was Eric Wilkinson reporting. Still ahead on KGW News at 6, an update on the wildfire surrounding a Washington tourist town during its busiest time of year.
Plus, a glimpse into the future of fighting wildfires, how high-tech balloons could provide a big advantage.
And coming up at 6:30, investigative reporter Evan Watson has an update on his Uncommitted series, a nonprofit's new proposal to change state law to lower the bar when it comes to forcing people to get mental health treatment. That is next at 6:30 on The Story here on KGW.